Hey everybody, welcome to Schizofish. I am BB, and I am just one of three members here on this channel. If you're interested in checking out our other videos, we do skits, we do other playthroughs of games, we do variety streaming. Um, we have a variety of other instructional videos here on YouTube as well. Our main area we live stream from is from Twitch itself. So if you want to check out some of our live streams, go to Twitch under the same name, Schizofish, and I usually recommend at least checking out our clips. Our clips will provide you with excellent moments and give you a quick idea of what we do for the channel. We have different social medias: Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, of course. To start off this video, now I want you guys to understand the purpose of this video. This is not 100% foolproof. So basically, with that being said, this everything I'm going to show you now, it's little details. It can be tedious in that, making sure you go through each character to make sure they're set up properly, and then it's also tedious with extra steps I'm going to show you eventually when I get to. I'm going to do some quick gameplay once I'm done with the instructional part of what exactly you gotta make sure you hide and look out for. And then while I'm doing the quick gameplay, just again very brief gameplay, just to show you some other routines of what I do. I'm going to go through explaining that, and then at the end, I'm going to explain to you a few things that I have to look out for, and a few things that you should look out for to make sure you're able to maintain uh, the anonymous status as much as possible with wherever you might be streaming City of Heroes. With that being said, let's get started on this video. I'm looking forward to putting this out because I definitely want to help the COH community, especially the streamers. There are new streamers coming our way, and I want to be able to get people back playing wherever they want to. So let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to point out here, notice this black box on the video screen. This black box is normally where I have the live video capture of myself while I'm streaming. For this video, I'm actually just going to leave this black. I don't want you guys to pay attention to me and my face on screen. I want you to more so pay attention to where, what I'm doing on screen and where kind of like my UIs are set up. So, just keep in mind, I'm going to be clicking this on and off just to give you an idea of what's going on. Like basically what you're going to be doing with your live camera feed here on this bottom right corner. And again, I want to emphasize bottom right corner. Make sure you have that set up on the bottom right. There is a reason. I promise you, I put plenty hours in the first like month and a half of my own time off stream trying to figure this stuff out. And this is the best positioning, the best thing I have come up with to hide certain things. So let's go. Let me turn this off real quick, and then we'll get on with the first step. So to get started, what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to click on the menu tab on the top of your health bar and endurance, window. Off a menu tab, you're going to want to go to your options. Off of the options menu, make sure you're in the Windows tab. And the very first thing, user interface. Automatic UI scale, make sure it's on enabled. Window scaling, make sure it's all the way down. Keep in mind, something to keep in mind, a problem I experienced is some of my characters, for some reason, don't have the window scaling on enabled. So I have to switch them to disabled and then just adjust the UI scaling down. Now, some people might be asking, like, okay, why not just have them all on disable? It's, again, for some reason, trust me, all the hours I put in, this is a problem that I've tried to, fix multiple times. The best thing I could figure out is majority of my tunes are going to be able to have it on enabled, and for the purpose of being able to switch characters without having to go through, some of the same bullshit again, just make sure majority of your characters on enabled, and then set the ones that need to switch to disabled on a different character page for whatever server. So that way you know which characters you have to go through the options menu just to flip that to disabled and reduce the UI scaling. So again, majority on enabled, reduce UI scale. Down on reticle, here's the things you're going to want to make sure are hidden. Player name. People can find you off the server based off some other teammate's name or another hero you're on, nearby. Player name hidden. Player archetype origin hidden. There are some archetypes, some power sets that are specific to a couple servers. So, for the purpose of remaining as anonymous as possible with what server you're playing on, hidden. Player supergroup hidden. Same reason as I mentioned. Personal player name hidden. I think that goes without saying. If they can see your name right on the screen right off the bat, yeah, just hide that shit. Now, on the Windows, if you scroll down to chat, the last thing you should do is chat balloons, disable the chat balloons. Now, the reason for this, I mean, as far as streaming, if you want to maintain, uh, you know, just being anonymous as to where you're playing, a lot of times people might mention a person's name, like a character's name, or a certain archetype or something. So that's just another thing you got to look out for. So chat balloons disabled as well. And honestly, I've streamed quite well without having all these things activated. It doesn't necessarily take away. However, one thing I definitely had to adjust for is uh, keeping a better eye out when I'm on a larger team and there's just a lot going on. I have to try to keep a better lookout for where my teammates are within the group of enemies, especially if I'm playing a support type. It could get a little messy. So those are the things to do there in the options menu. When you're done with that, keep in mind if you scroll all the way down, the chat settings and window settings, you can actually save your own defaults. So that way you don't have to deal with this specifically with each character. Again, the only thing you might have to readjust is a character that may not have enabled on the window scale, so you switch them to disabled. And again, majority of them should be enabled because some characters don't have UI scaling on disabled as well. So that's something I figured out. So once you have everything set, apply now, of course. All right, so here's the things you're going to want to look out for. I'm going to go through the tabs that you should be hiding, at least in my opinion. Again, if you want to at least use this instructional video as like a basis for what to do, and then figure out like if anything comes up, a better way to do it, by all means do that. Share it. I hope you share it, but I want to share this with y'all so that we can get the community going. So, Powers tab. I have the Powers tab hidden. Again, there's certain power sets and archetypes that are specific to servers. So just to remain as anonymous as possible on whatever server you want to play, make sure you have the powers hidden. I don't think it's necessary to hide the incarnate abilities, so I don't. But powers should be down in that bottom right corner. And again, you're using your live camera feed to block whatever you're setting on that right hand corner. Inspirations. I believe there's some inspirations that are, specific to some servers as well, so I hide that anyway. Enhancements tray. There are enhancements, especially IO sets that are specific to some servers. Hide that shit. Vault reserve your salvage and your recipes. Just put that down there as well. A good way to measure how you should, the size of your video, go to a contact that has their picture, right? Move that to the bottom right because you can't adjust the contact window. So that gives you your way to measure. So bring up your camera capture. Make sure your camera is blocking the dialogue. If you see that it's blocking the dialogue here, then you're good to go with the sizing for that. I use the recipes tray to measure where I should line up my powers tray, because I like having the powers tray here in the middle. You can't reduce the width any more than it is now for the recipe tray, so I use that edge right there to measure as well. All right, so we've gone through these tabs on the power tray. Now, let me bring back on the chat tray. You're going to want to make sure your team and your league are within that box. Now, I like to line up the left edge of both of those along the left edge of the camera capture. So I'm going to move the league box a little to the left, and you could see popping out right there. I like to set it up like that. So that way, since there's such a little area for me to, work with down here to try to hide things behind the video feed, I put the team capture and then the league right under that, lined up to the left there. Friends is going all the way down to the bottom right corner. Now, keep in mind, if you have your friends list up, if you switch to global, I'm not going to do that right now, but if you switch to global, if you have a extensive friends on, there's going to be an arrow to the right. If you click on the arrow, it's going to expand the friend list all the way over here. And then when you minimize it, it's just going to bring the right side over to the left. So you want to make sure while you're live streaming to avoid extending the global friends like at all. If you want to find out what server a fellow friend is that is currently playing and you'd like to team with them, I recommend just shooting them a private message in game, or hit them up on their DMs on some other social media, but do what you can to not extend that friends list. Just keep it right there. Supergroup could hide just perfectly right there as well. Email, I'm not going to open the email for the purpose of maintaining, make sure you don't know where I'm at, who I'm at, who I am, who I'm at. Anyway, but believe me, the email also fits within that live video feed. So there is quite a few windows with not a whole lot of room to work with, but I've been able to work with this. It took some getting used to. It's just about making a habit routine, right? Two more things you got to keep an eye out for. The missions tab, you want to make sure is hidden there. Your missions tab is going to have all your character, like your teammates' names and stuff. So you just want to make sure to untab that or whatever, disconnect that. Bring that all the way down to the bottom right. And I mean all the way down to the bottom right. Even if you're on a full team, I've seen this where even if I'm on a full team, it never goes beyond the boundary or border of your live camera capture. So as long as your mission tab is set all the way down to the bottom right corner, you are going to be good and covered there. And then another thing to keep in mind is your personal info. So your personal info goes down to the bottom right. Again, you're going to have your name, archetype, all that. And with some servers, it's going to have your the server that you're on labeled on there as well. So you just want to make sure that's down there, especially if you're clicking on other characters. As you notice with the options I set, the name, archetype, all that stuff is hidden. I can right-click this person, click info, and their personal info is hidden behind the camera capture as well. And while I'm on the topic of personal info, one thing you definitely want to make sure you don't do without blacking out the screen if you find it necessary to do this is you definitely don't want to go to your... One second, let me bring this. Definitely don't want to go to your personal ID. Your ID is going to show your character here with your name, basically your whole hero or villain ID and stuff. You don't want to press that while you're live streaming, at least while you have the video feed on. So just keep that in mind. And then one other thing that is important to make sure you hide within that window as well, your targeting window. So where I usually put my targeting of who I am currently targeting or whatever, usually I set up the inspirations to where the inspirations are just below that right corner of the live video feed. So I'm just going to tuck it right in there. Boom. And then just to show you where it's at. And then you adjust the chat tray to where the top of the chat tray is just below, just like right at that top bar there. So that way you still have this top part of the inspirations poking out so you could click on it. And trust me, like I've gotten used to this. I'm able to do all this pretty smooth while I'm playing in game. And usually where I set this up is I set this up just below the inspirations tray. Now, normally I'm going to have like the chat box, like taking up this half, and then global chat up here. And then for higher levels, you get more inspiration slots. So I just keep moving the targeting tray just to be down right below the, right below the ridge of the inspirations tray. Trust me, you still got plenty of room because you also have this area to the left of the chat tray, and you'll still have your team set up there and still, boom, hidden. Again, you want to hide these things like team, who you're targeting and stuff. You don't want people to know what server you're on or where you're at. So these are the precautions you got to take. Now, when I'm playing a support type character, you'll note like when I'm live streaming, I'll have the support powers set up on like the left hand side here, somewhere here, or even here in this open space. So that way when I have the team here in the chat, I can just make sure my support powers are right next there to teammates to click on and stuff and interact that way. But again, the bottom right corner is your friend when doing this. Again, as I mentioned, for the measurement with you want to make sure contact dialog is hidden. You want to always make sure you move the contact windows down to the bottom right with all those tabs that I just went over with you right now. Now, with all that hidden right there, with all that hidden behind the live video feed here at the bottom right, there are going to be some issues, like some inconveniences, so to speak. Let me show you. Like, for example, on this server in particular, it has this chat box, this bubble here, right? If I click on that, it's not going to keep it open. If I hold it, it's just going to go on the next thing that the arrow goes over. So if I want to set the actual, if I want to change the difficulty of my missions, if you notice while I'm streaming, to remain anonymous as possible, some servers don't have this, where I'll basically turn off the game capture. I'll make the changes with difficulty. I'll move that chat box back to the bottom right, and then I'll bring back the game. And then I still have my inspirations tray right there. Click on the top, bring that up, and I just press T to bring the targeting back, and boom, we're all set. I can still see chat. I can still see who I'm targeting and still have the inspirations there. My powers, again, they're not going to overlap with any of these other windows. So I'll always be able to click on my powers, have my teammates right here on the edge of the, sorry, wrong button, of the live camera feed, as well as the league. So that way, everything still functions, everything still flows. It's just a matter of making it a habit and a routine. Again, tedious at first. There are some things that are still a little tedious, which I'm going to go over right now, now that we've gone past that basic instructional stuff. So let me flip on that live camera feed again. So this is how it would normally look like while I'm playing, while I'm streaming whatever server I'm on. Again, this is normally how I have my power trays with my inspirations and teams and all that other good jazz tucked away behind the video feed on the bottom right. I got my health endurance bar experience here, and then nav I still leave out. Now, one thing you're going to notice, I don't have my map up. Now, for the purpose of minimizing people being able to like stream snipe you or whatever, here's a couple precautions I take. Now, if I'm just going to be around a certain contact, like let's say if this guy was a contact for a strike force or a task force or something, and I'm trying to get a team together, or if I'm just trying to get a team together in general, I'll zoom in. So that way, if anyone new comes to the stream or channel, they don't really have an idea of what my character looks like. And even if someone's trying to find you, it's like it makes it even more difficult. And even if you get a private message, like I've had people private message me about teaming or something, or like hey, you so and so. Like I don't respond. I'm like I will privately message people or like have them privately message me on Twitch or something like that rather than online. Or if someone asks if I'm streaming, you know, just don't acknowledge it if it's in game and they're asking that. But as long as someone you could trust outside and like they DM you, add them, screw it. But again, you want to remain as anonymous as possible, so keep that as a precaution in mind. So, I usually don't have my map up unless I really need it to, click on a contact or find something in particular. Once I've clicked on as a marketing point, a marking point on the map, I'll usually just close the map if I'm in the open world area. Once I'm ready to move, I will just zoom out and then we're on the go. Again, a lot of this is part of like routine and stuff. Again, I don't have the map up because unless someone is really familiar with the zone you're in, or, of course the nav says right there Atlas Park, but unless they're really, really familiar with the maps and stuff where you're at, they're not going to be able to really pinpoint you at least quick enough. I mean, for the most part, if you're not staying around, if you're constantly going through mission to mission, they're not just going to be able to find you that quick. All right. So what I do, keep this in mind. If you're playing on the hero side before you enter a mission, like you're going to want to turn the game capture off. So this is something you definitely have to keep handy at all times, is having like OBS or whatever you're using, so that way you could turn that game capture off in certain moments. This is one of those moments. So since there's a group of enemies here, I mean, higher levels won't matter. Since this guy's level 1, I just made this guy. Since he's level 1, he's going to be deleted anyway. So what you're going to do is, before you enter a mission, you're going to want to toggle off that in-game capture. The reason is, well, uh, hero side, some of these servers have, advertisement for their server in the loading screen. I noticed that with multiple servers, they don't do the same thing with the villain side. And with that being said, keep that in mind for the future, because once I release this video, if anybody, any of them wants to make those adjustments and update shit, you might have to end up doing that on the villain side as well, etc. And same thing for the neutral side, the Simora. I don't know if I said that correctly. For going, the rogue or whatever. You're going to want to still turn off that game capture. So I'm going to go up to this mission door and I'm going to turn off the game capture. All right, I clicked on the door. I'm going to bring back the game as soon as I'm inside the mission. Just 1 second. All right, I'm inside the mission. Boom. Took a few seconds. Now I can continue with the mission, with the team, or whatever I'm doing. Pretty smooth. It doesn't take much but a click to bring it back and whatnot. So let's say if I go through this mission and mission complete right there at the top, right? Before you click the mission complete button or exit whatever way, make sure you turn that game capture off and then exit the mission. All right, now I'm outside of the mission. Boom, we're back. So, under a normal stream, I would have gone through the mission, played it, of course, done that same thing. Turn off the video capture before I enter the mission and then after I exit the mission. So you always want to make sure you're past that the loading screen before you bring the live video back. Again, that's another precaution. Um, and then there's other little things to keep in mind. Like, for example, since we're on the topic of missions, there are some missions that require you to um, like escort someone out of the mission that has a health bar. If you ever come across one of those missions that are part of a story arc, where you have to keep a certain person alive, um, then you want to keep an eye on that NPC's health bar, because if they die, you're automatically going to be getting kicked out of that mission. And if it's an area where you're on the hero side and it automatically kicks you and you're not ready to turn off that video feed, then that could give you away. Again, contacts. Contacts will show up in the center a lot of times. Make sure you're ready to pull that down to the right corner. Make sure you have these different tabs set up on the right corner. Um, Even the targeting tab. Your map. Oh, I forgot to show you the map. I always bring up the map in the mission so I could go through the mission with the map up. But then before I exit the mission again, I'll turn off the map. So another thing to keep in mind, just to avoid people stream sniping you. And again, if you're going to be standing around for a period of time, zoom in a little bit while you set up the next mission. And then when you're ready to move, you can zoom back out. Good to go. So another thing to keep in mind is the just in general when you're playing. Um, some people, while you're streaming, if you want to remain anonymous as possible, of course they're going to ask you, "Hey, what server are you on?" They might want to play with you. Now it's up to you um, to divulge whatever information you want. But usually when I'm playing, if someone's trying to team with me or whatever, I'll have them shoot me a DM or whatever, a whisper, and then we'll go from there. But for the most part, I am very more private when I'm streaming City of Heroes. So I'll play with people, but I'm a little more, I guess, skeptical, a little more cautious. So that is something that's up to y'all. If y'all are trying to share what server you're on to people that you know, by all means, play with them and stuff. But again, just be careful. So keep in mind, anything that gives away your name and information like that, that's basically what you're hiding. And again, I don't think I mentioned this point at the beginning of this video, but you're going to want to make sure you do not use your green screen to be able to accomplish this. So it's very important that you have that whole box, that whole, for your live video feed. It's important you have that whole box available to you to be able to hide this info. Now, another thing that is part of my routine, when I'm switching character, I do black out the screen as well. I'll switch character from time to time. So what I'm going to do before I switch character, I'm going to go to PC capture. I'm going to turn off my live game video feed, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the switch. Now just give me a moment, because this is one of those characters, again, this is one of those characters where he doesn't have the UI scaling on enabled, so I have to switch him to disabled to adjust the UI. So I just did that, apply now. And then since the adjustment was made, all I gotta do is make sure things are back in their proper position, which for the most part they are. Okay, those are good. Good, 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 good. All right. All right, so I'm bringing back the game. So as you can see, it took just a few seconds for me to reset the stuff. Everything was already basically in their own positions, and I have everything hidden, utilizing the live camera feed. And again, the contact. Again, he shows up top right. Boom. Just move him down to, or he showed up in the center. Just move that shit down. All right, now I'm ready to go. Boom. And basically what I'm going to do, I'm just going to enter and then exit this mission. This guy is on the villain side. So I just want to show you guys villain side for now, for the most part on servers. They don't do any additional advertising. But since I'm going to release this video to help y'all out, they could very well change that. So just keep that in mind for future. And if you're new to trying to remain as anonymous as possible, I feel like you should probably just, until you make it a habit, at the very least, just keep turning off that video game capture or whatever until you get used to your new routine. Alright, so I'm in the mission now. Boom, boom, boom. Villain side again. I'm exiting. Show you. Just City of Villains. Boom. Nothing else. Alright, guys. So that's pretty much everything. I mean, it's pretty quick, pretty straight to the point. It's not. It honestly isn't. It was a pain in the ass trying to figure all the shit out that could fucking and things would come up to where I'd have to readjust what I do. Again, guys, this is not 100% foolproof. It's honestly the best I've come up with over the past like 2.5 months, and it's been a little rough, but I got stuff down as a routine and as a habit before I started streaming the way I was, and so far, excuse me, so far it's worked out for me just fine. So if I would at least recommend using what I showed you as kind of like a basis, as long as you're keeping cautious as to like these things that could give you away, then there you go. Just play the game. Again, I recommend just doing maybe doing it off stream if you're trying to do this, just to get into that routine habit. So, with that being said, I hope this video finds you guys in good light, and I hope this helps you guys out. I hope to see more people, uh, you know, utilizing this in some way to be able to stream, and I can team with y'all and whatnot. So, but yeah, keep it up, guys. You fellow COH streamers, welcome to all the new people as well. All the old people. Hope you continue to help the newcomers out. Spread the word for City of Heroes. Let's get this game going again. But yeah, you guys take care. And again, check out our videos on YouTube and Schizofish on Twitch. Check out our social medias. And if you have any questions, comments, or anything, uh, feel free to leave a comment on YouTube or even send us a message on YouTube or on Twitch itself as a whisper for Schizofish. So anyway, guys, you all take care. Be safe.